My little brother Charlie died in a fire when he was only 1. It was 3 weeks after my mum had gone. She ran out the door without her coat on. Must have been cold. My big brother Philip came home and Dad got in trouble with the police for being sad. He's in the army. Philip's friend said he saw Mum in Girvan. Now Girvan has a beach and a puggies. Not much else. Dad took me and Charlie to Girvan in the car. The journey on the way back, it took much longer, but I had more room. We had a caravan on the hill. It smelled like piss. And me and Charlie used to go down to the puggies at the harbour whilst Dad was out looking for Mum. We'd play Sega Rally, Virtua Fighter, Sensible Soccer, the flying game with the bike, and House of the Dead with the gun. I tried to tell Charlie that the arcade version was much better than the Saturn version, but he didn't know what I was talking about. He was only 1. When I got back, Dad was up looking for Mum, and the lady at the caravan park said he'd phoned and that I was to give Charlie his dinner. But Charlie didn't want that dinner, so I made him chips. Whilst dinner was cooking, I went back to the puggies. I was playing Virtua Fighter and I was doing really, really well. I was getting the high score, and this guy came up to me and he said, like, "Wow, you're doing really good at that game, little man. Wow, really good. Really good at that game." When I got back, the the caravan, it was on fire, and Charlie was inside it. And there were people there. There were pedestrians, and there were firefighters, and there were policemen, and nobody could get Charlie out of that fire. He died in that fire, and he was only 1. And I tried to get the car and drive to Dad, but I didn't know how. And Mum and Dad, they were there. Just not in a nice way. Dad even tried to get Charlie out of the fire. I didn't even like him. But he couldn't. I had to see a therapist when I got out. Got home. He didn't talk much, just took notes, mostly. He had video games in his office. He never really played with me. He didn't know how. He couldn't hold the controller. Mum was crying on the phone again. Not as much as Philip, but he doesn't come round anymore. Mum does. Not in a nice way. Sometimes when you're playing video games, you can use a thing called a cheat. And this can give you something like infinite lives or infinite money, and I don't like cheats. Like, if you use infinite lives, sure, you can't die, but that's not always a good thing. Sometimes when you're going to die, you might think things you didn't know your brain could think, and do things you didn't know your body could do. But sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not. And sometimes your lives are up. That's it. I mean, it's game over. Or your lives are up, you're dead. You could be lying there. asleep, not hurting anyone, and doing really well. And that's it. It's game over. And it's not fair. But there's nothing you can do about it. It's not fair. There's nothing you can do about it.